Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you calling today this hearing to protect consumers in the used car market. A car is one of the single biggest purchasers of consumers make, and although a car is a depreciating asset, it is quite often invaluable to the owner, particularly if it is the only way to travel to work and earn a paycheck. While many in this room live in big cities with mass transit, those of us in more rural areas lack such conveniences. My district is an agricultural hotspot with farms that cover vast acreage in the beautiful San Joaquin Valley in California. And workers are often geographically separated from their place of work by many miles, with few, if any, viable alternatives for commuting. Without a car, getting to work can be nearly impossible, regardless of income, so it is vitally important that they find a safe, reliable car. And the last thing anybody needs is to find out that the car she's purchased has hidden damage that can greatly reduce the car's value, or worse, present a safety hazard to her and her family. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, this committee's attention was drawn to the fact that hundreds of thousands of cars were flooded and should not be resold and put back on the road. And although state laws usually require the title of the damaged car to carry a brand reflecting the car's true condition, unscrupulous people find ways to obtain new clean title in another state, a practice referred to as title washing. With a clean title, the path is cleared to sell the car to an unsuspecting consumer or business. Because of the varying state laws, the NMVITA system was mandated by the Anti-Car Theft Act of 1992 to provide an interoperable electronic system for the states and for law enforcement to improve title efficiency and reduce fraud. However, technological barriers and chronic underfunding have prevented the system from truly helping to eliminate title washing. Recently, however, the DOJ has opened the system to the public and required information to be provided by private sector entities such as insurance companies and salvage yards. And while it's improving, the system remains only as good as the information that goes into it. Unfortunately, only 27 states are currently participating in providing information. And one of them, my home state of California, is not allowing the information to be made public. In the interim, American entrepreneurial spirit has filled the information void and produced several competing information products that are commercially available to consumers and businesses to research a car's history. Paying a handful of dollars to research a car for what a consumer will pay thousands of dollars is money well spent. I am pleased that one of the companies, Experian, will be testifying today about their auto check service, and I'm interested to hear whether NMVITA will become an additional tool for the consumer or a replacement to a private sector service. In addition to buying a car with hidden damage, consumers must avoid other pitfalls to purchasing a used car. In fact, a plethora of state and federal laws already exist to inform and protect consumers. The FTC's used car rule requires information of existing warranty to be disclosed through a buyer's guide label on the car. And many states have laws restricting certain fees and mandating additional disclosures. Despite these protections, reports of some abusive sales and lending practices by a small minority of unscrupulous actors still persists. The report comes at precisely the time when many of our fellow Americans have lost their jobs or have reduced income from the slowing economy and cannot afford the additional costs. With many state budgets busting at the seams, the state and local enforcement will depend on to protect consumers as susceptible to the constraints of limited resources. And under the economic climate, we must ensure that our laws work effectively to protect consumers and eliminate fraudulent practices that result in unnecessary cost to consumers. Owning a car is an expensive proposition. Financing costs, insurance premiums, maintenance, gas, and state and local taxes require a substantial portion of income for the average American. I don't have to tell my fellow Californians who may see our gas prices increase and vehicle registration fees increase this year to offset our budget deficit. But cars today are also safer, more advanced technologically, and last longer than any time in history. I think any discussion of affordability must also examine the role of the federal and state mandates and taxes. And I also believe that if we want to help consumers, any measure we discuss must carefully examine to ensure that they do not increase compliance costs that only result in higher purchase prices and ownership costs. Mr. Chairman, I look forward to working with you and making sure that consumers have access to the information they need to make an informed car purchase and that unscrupulous actors who would violate the law are brought to justice. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.